Now, the next question you may have is, what is the toughest module in all the four? Generally, at a glance, when you practice one test, maybe reading would be the toughest module because you have to read for 1 hour and then write your answers. But in general, most of the students fail to, get their required score in writing module. Because as I told you, it's an invisible component which we don't realize unless somebody assesses us. So that is where we must work. In general, I can say it is both reading and writing that most of the students face a difficulty in. The rest modules is maybe you can manage by understanding and then working it out. Now, those who are fluent in English and are able, have done their education in English, it's easy to do the speaking module. But again, a lot of students who have the other medium of teaching in schooling might find speaking as well as a difficult module, because you need to speak as the examiner asks you. You are not given any time for preparation except for a part of it. The rest all you have to speak instantly. You need to give prompt answers over there. So that is one area again some of the students might find it difficult. Now let me elaborate a little more on each of the module. First, we'll begin with listening module. Now, what is listening? Listening here, this particular module goes for about 40 minutes, where you'll be listening to an audio and you have to write the answers simultaneously. So I can call this to be as a multitasking module, where you need to listen, grasp the answers and simultaneously write down, along with first reading the answers. That is, your eyes should be on the questions, ears dedicated to the audio, and your hand should scribble the answer whatever it grasps. So this is a multitasking job. Though a lot of them enjoy listening, there are a couple of students, or I must say there are some students who are a bit nervous when it comes to listening module. Now, what are the challenges in this module? First of all, the accent. You don't find Indian accent there, so you may have either British accent or Australian accent mostly, but there's again a probability that the other accents also might come in. Though it's all about English, you may have any kind of accent over there. So that is a challenge for most of these students to write their answers. They feel that they understood the answer, but when it comes to writing, they forget what could be the pronunciation of the word or what word was used there to write the answer. So this is a big challenge for some of the students. And apart from that, how is this module going to be conducted? Now, this particular listening module, which is for about 30 minutes, will go for, is divided into 4 parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3 and Part 4. While Part 1 and Part 2 are comparatively easier, Part 3 and Part 4 are challenging. Now, the challenges here could be about in reading the question. That is, as I told you got to read the question and then be prepared to receive the audio, as you're not allowed to view your question paper much in advance. Only once it's given to you, you'll be asked to open the envelope and then take it, and you are given some assigned time, that is 30 seconds assigned time to go through the questions and then write the answers. Only in this stipulated time, you're supposed to read the question and then write the answer. That is, as the audio plays, you're going to write the answer. This is a challenge like I just mentioned. Okay. So now, the other part which would be draining most of the students is about the kind of questions that you come across. While you have a variety of combinations, say approximately 10 question types, you may have any kind of question type given out of this 10 there. So while maybe 7 to 8 question types are very easy to write, the other question types like multiple choice questions could be a difficult task for most of the students. So where this training is going to help us, especially when we talk about this training, like in our institute, we focus on every question type and also share the tips and strategies how to crack it. And as we understand the students' weakness or the lapses where they're encountering while working out the task, we try to give them even more practice with sharing the tips in depth and talking about or making them do before us, which will help them to understand how to look at the question and then grasp the answer. This will help them to perform the test well and improve the scores on a long run. Now, there is a myth again that students believe that a kind of practice, maybe a 3-4 listenings practice will be helpful for them to crack. I agree that this is possible, but not for all of them. There are some smart students for whom just 4 to 5 practice sessions would be helpful. But I must say that most of them find it difficult. For them, the training should definitely be helpful because we focus on those areas where they're finding it very difficult to look at and then work out. At home, what happens when you practice on your own is you will just look at the overall score and be nervous because you're unable to reach your target. But here, though we make you realize the overall score, along with that, we also ask you to focus on the independent scores or in the independent question types where you're making more number of mistakes or repeated mistakes and target that to help you improve your scores. In your listening module, how many questions are you supposed to answer? There are 40 questions that you have to answer. And a minimum of 30 out of 40 will give you 7 bands. This is for the general students, the academic students. For general students, it is minimum of 8. All the countries will ask you to get at least 8 in your listening module. Now, when I say it is about 36 questions out of 40 should be correct to get your required scores, which is definitely a challenge to you. Now, this is where we help the students understand how they have to do. Now, with the robust content that we have in our training institute, both for paper-based as well as computer-delivered test, that is the online test, we help the students do rigorous practice. Just a couple of practices is not going to definitely help you. So you must do a number of tests where we can supply you enough content to do, and you can also come back in case you find any challenges or you are unable to improve on your scores. Now, this practice should definitely boost your scores. Now, most of the students, in spite of taking the training, may not be able to crack. The reason behind this is, though they listen to the classes here, they come and do some practice, not a rigorous practice. I'm talking about only some practice. What they assume is to do a rigorous practice just before the exam. Now, this is never going to help. An overnight preparation for IELTS will never give you the required scores. A consistent practice and a consistent score only will tell you exactly where you stand and how much you have to improve on your test. So this is where we help the students even to improve on their scores and crack the test. Moving ahead, now the next is the reading module. How is this reading conducted and what you're supposed to do in this reading? Now, reading, you'll be given 3 lengthy passages, especially for the academic students, it's going to be 3 lengthy passages. And for general students, it's again 3 passages, but they're not going to be as lengthy as the academic students. Okay. So here, the content will vary. As I told you in the beginning, the reading module varies for both academic students and general students. The text for academic students is taken from more of research books and the academic books, while for the general students it's more to do with ads and all. However, for the general students also, the last passage is again an academic passage which will sound a bit challenging. Okay. Now, whether the content is big or small or tough or easy, the number of questions for both the academic and general students is the same. That is, you got to answer 40 questions. Now, this sounds good, but why is it difficult then if it's only 40 questions? These 40 questions should be addressed in just 60 minutes. So, when I say 60 minutes and 40 questions, this is where most of them find it a bit complicated. Because you're not supposed to spend more than 1.5 minutes per question, where you need to read the question, look for the answer, take the answer and write it down on the answer sheet. Again, here you'll have to be pretty quicker to complete the task. So the reading is challenging. Now, again, what kind of questions do you come across here? Just like a listening, we also have multiple questions here, a range of question types which include sentence completion, multiple choice, true, false, not given, and so on. Now, the student has to be familiar with all these question types to crack them to get their required score. So here, it is going to be a bit challenging for academic students as compared to general students when they're working out the questions. The reason being, the content is quite complicated. Though it's all only reading, the passages are not so easy to understand. Sometimes they are a bit dry too, which just bounces off your head. Okay. Now, this makes it quite boring and frustrating to work it out. That is where they lose their bands. When it comes to general students, as I told, it's more of arts. It's going to be a bit easier and interesting too. However, the last passage is an academic passage, but then this is going to be interesting. Now, you may ask me, why are the examiners so biased giving the academic students tougher passages and the general students are easy? Okay. Now, though the passages vary in the content with the difficulty part, when it comes to the evaluation, 30 marks out of 40, that is 30, when you are 30 answers are correct, out of 40, for the academic students, they get 7 bands. But when it comes to the general students, only when they get 34 out of 40, they get the 7 bands. As the text there is easy, the scoring criteria is a bit difficult. The text here is difficult or challenging and the criteria is comparatively lesser. This is where the difference lies. However, for the academic students, just 6 bands are required, which is a minimum of 23 out of 40. Now, when I say minimum 23, if you just put your cutoff at 23, it doesn't work because the cat may jump either sides of the wall. It may go the other side and you may just go with 22 where it comes to 5.5 bands, and just because you lost this 0.5 bands in your all these scores, you'll have to retake the test. In any one module, even if you lose 0.5 bands to your required score, you'll have to resit for the examination. And as I told, there's no limit in taking the exam. You can book a series of slots and then give your test, but that will put you down badly with your confidence level. So there is a lot need for you to practice and then give the test.